There's a new movie being produced about Fridays, and it's already been rated awesome. I'm Carl Azouz, happily presenting Friday's edition of CNN 10. We're taking you to northeastern Africa first, where there's been a military coup in the nation of Sudan. Its former president, Omar al-Bashir, had been in power for 3 decades. But on Thursday, the nation's Minister of Defense announced that Bashir's government had been dissolved and that the military would take charge of Sudan for 2 years until a transition of power is complete. The country's constitution has been suspended, its lawmaking body has been stripped of power. In an effort to maintain peace in Sudan, a curfew's been put in place and a state of emergency has been declared for 3 months. Reporters in Sudan say former President Bashir is alive and under house arrest, and dozens of other government officials have also been arrested. Protests in the African country have been going on for months. They began as a demonstration against the rising costs of living in Sudan, but protesters then called for Bashir's removal from office. There were massive rallies and sit-ins at military installations, and with armed groups getting involved in recent days, violence flared up. A Sudanese medical group says 22 people, including 5 soldiers, have been killed in protests over the past week. Reports from social media and other witnesses indicated that celebrations were happening as the news spread of Bashir's removal. But one protest group is calling for Sudanese civilians to keep up the demonstrations until power is given to a civilian government.
Omar al-Bashir seized power in Sudan through a military coup in 1989. He went on to dissolve the government, all political parties and trade unions. His harsh rule over his people eventually amounted to the International Criminal Court issuing an arrest warrant for the Sudanese leader. Bashir is wanted for crimes against humanity, war crimes and genocide for atrocities allegedly committed in Sudan's western Darfur region. Bashir is accused of enlisting a brutal Arab militia called the Janjaweed to quell unrest against his rule in the region. He denied the ICC's allegations and disputed reports that tens of thousands of people were killed or displaced by the fighting.
The first thing is that we don't agree with these numbers, neither the number of deaths or the number of those displaced. We estimate that the number of deaths on all sides, from the rebels and the government, to not exceed 5,000 deaths. The displaced, of course all those numbers are exaggerated. The actual numbers are a lot less than those given.
The arrest warrant issued in 2009 led to an international travel ban. Despite this, countries such as Egypt, South Africa and Saudi Arabia still allowed him to make diplomatic visits. In the bloody, decades-long civil war waged between the country's north and south, a peace agreement was signed that led to South Sudan's secession in 2011. The two countries continued to fight, though, in cross-border skirmishes for control of the country's disputed and lucrative oil reserves. Despite international condemnation and the ICC arrest warrant, Bashir continued to win elections in his country in 2010 and 2015. However, many political parties boycotted those polls. But any signs of internal dissent, such as these anti-government protests that started in December 2018, have been ruthlessly put down by his security forces until now. Omar al-Bashir was often captured on camera wearing his military uniform in public appearances, his time in power constantly characterized by war. Robin Kerno, CNN.
10-second trivia. Which of these nations borders the Bay of Bengal? India, Pakistan, Thailand, or Vietnam? Bengal used to be a province of India, and the Bay of Bengal is on the country's east coast. The South Asian country of India has begun the process of holding a national election, but it's not something that can be done in a day. Even though India is about 1/3 the size of the United States, its population is almost 4 times bigger, and the results of that election that started on Thursday aren't expected until late May. To keep elections fair and safe, polling is done in 7 phases around different regions of India, so not every part of the country votes at once. And though the political party of the nation's current leader won a landslide victory in 2014, incumbent Prime Minister Narendra Modi may be facing a closer contest this time around. The challenges faced by farmers, unemployment among young workers, tensions with neighboring Pakistan, all of these are issues in this election.
And so it begins. Indians will start voting Thursday in the first phase of the country's general elections, a closely fought contest in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi is seeking re-election. Modi and his Bharatiya Janata Party are being challenged in different parts of the country by a number of other parties, including the principal opposition Congress, led by Rahul Gandhi. The polls are spread out over several weeks. There are 7 phases in all, and the results won't be out until the 23rd of May. The reason? Because of the colossal size of this democratic exercise, the largest in the world. Across India, around 900 million people are eligible to vote. And that's not the only staggering number. There are around 1 million polling stations, and some 10 million officials are involved in making sure the process is completed successfully. The vast human resources involved, as well as the logistics of moving everyone around this continent-sized country, is why voting is so spread out. On Thursday, voters in sections of the north, the east, and the south will get a chance to cast their ballots. Among the areas going to the polls in the first phase are sections of northern Uttar Pradesh state, easily the most consequential of all Indian states, with a population of around 200 million people. Their votes could be key to deciding whether Mr. Modi gets a second term, or if things are about to change in what is the world's largest democracy. Nikhil Kumar, CNN, New Delhi.
If you live in bear country and you have a car, it's probably a good idea to keep your doors locked. The woman who owns this vehicle in Breckenridge, Colorado would tell you that. It was parked, but apparently not locked up, and a bear, probably a small one, recently broke into the car one night and then proceeded to utterly destroy it. Maybe he thought it was his home because it was a Subaru Forester. The intruder did find something worthwhile in the back seat, a single package of gummy bears, which he also destroyed. It's terrible, it's unbearable, but at least the video's shareable. An unlocked door near the forest floor makes for a cautionary parable. He had cause for it, he had claws for it. He smelled a sweet snack and had to pause for it. It shows how a bear is an animal, but does eating gummies make him a cannibal? Food for thought on CNN 10, and I'm Carl Azus, hoping your weekend is bearific.